Joining me now, the Vice President of Public Policy for the White Coat Waste Project, Justin Goodman, is here. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Thanks for having me.
So for you, and this is your life's work, exposing government corruption of the stripe, for you, what is the most troubling aspect of Lord Fauci's fiefdom?
Well, whether it's gain-of-function research in China or Beaglegate, which is turning out to be one of the biggest scandals of his career, both of them trace back to taxpayer-funded animal experiments that he's been funding on his watch for years that potentially have killed 5 million people and has taken the lives of countless dogs.
So let's talk about Beaglegate a little bit, because people need to know about this. And when people stand up and defend Anthony Fauci because they think they're supposed to, depending on what political party they belong to, which is utter nonsense, you're talking about a guy whose agency sent hundreds of thousands of dollars, perhaps millions, to Tunisia, and beagle puppies were starved. They were put in these mesh head cages, and starved sandflies were put into the mesh cages and ate the beagles alive. How did you find out about all of this?
Yeah, so through the Freedom of Information Act, we've exposed a pattern of puppy abuse by Fauci's agency, NIAID. On top of the experiments in Tunisia, we've exposed that Fauci's been funding experiments where puppies are used literally as heartworm factories. They're infected with parasites, and then the puppies are killed, and the heartworms are used in other experiments, including exposing them to things like ivermectin and nicotine. You have experiments where they're being force-fed experimental drugs, having their vocal cords cut so they can't bark in the lab or cry out in the lab, and then being killed. And all of this is happening even though the NIH, his own agency, says that 9 out of 10 drugs that pass animal tests fail in humans because they don't work or are dangerous. So this is just another example of Anthony Fauci being out of step with science.
Yes, and there are several non-PETA animal organizations, including national veterinary organizations, who have condemned this kind of research because, you know, the return on investment is so minute, but the torture is so vast. Are you surprised that this isn't a bigger story, and do you think Anthony Fauci is being protected by the media?
Well, I think he's not only being protected by the media, but I think he's being protected by higher-ups at the NIH. Francis Collins, his boss, recently said that people spreading misinformation, which he included these dog tests as misinformation, even though they're absolutely true, should be brought to justice. You have the Washington Post saying, reporters at the Post saying the attacks on Fauci for dog testing are, quote, right-wing hate. And you have other Post columnists calling the whole campaign about dog testing disinformation. So he's certainly surrounded by people both at his agency and allies in the media who will defend him at any cost.
But characterizing things in a certain way because you don't like them or because these are inconvenient truths, that's not a refutation. That in no way goes to give evidence that he was doing something to the contrary. And I think it is very much indefensible. If you look at a society that values and loves dogs, that is essentially a good society. You know, that's the kind of place where you want to live and what you want to be a part of. And, you know, when people hear about this, they're very, very angry. They should be just as angry, if not more, about the gain-of-function research that his agency funded and how he and Francis Collins and others have lied about it in order to not only cover their own heinies, but also to amass more power so they can scare people into continued employment.
That's absolutely right. And I think contrary to what the narrative we've been getting from mainstream corporate media is, Fauci's follies are being condemned by the left and the right alike. Polling we do shows that a majority of Americans oppose this dog testing, oppose gain-of-function research, and want it cut off. But if you reopen the Washington Post or the New York Times, certainly you're not going to see that.
No, you're not. You'll only see it here. Justin Goodman, thank you so much.
Thank you.